Hello, my fellow villagers. This is your host, Trez, for the Village Boy podcast. On another edition, I found a video of Stephen A. Smith, a sports analyst, unleashing venom on the Democrat Party. Somebody had to say it. Somebody needed to tell this party that they have gone to the deep end and almost to the land of no return. I have been saying this for almost 2 years. I said the Democrat Party lost me. I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me. I detailed at length exactly what was wrong with the Democrat Party leading up into the elections. People called me all kinds of names and labeled me uneducated, a betrayal to my roots, and everything you can think of. In the last couple of weeks, Stephen A. Smith, a sports analyst, flirted with the idea of putting his name as a candidate for the Democrat Party to run for the 2028 elections. And he was doing this on his show and just saying the Democrat Party was so bad that if he put his name, he would be a viable candidate. News articles have released potential candidates for the 2028 presidential cycle on the Democrat Party side. And guess who features as a potential candidate? Stephen A. Smith, running alongside Kamala Harris, the governor of Pennsylvania, Pete Buttigieg, the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. Interestingly, he decided to address this head on, which we're going to watch right now.
Digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Let me switch to a subject near and dear to my heart. Me. Because, once again, I'm in the news, and you would think it would be about something else other than what I'm in the news for. One thing after another has appeared. I had a couple of articles that I had to pay attention to this week. There is no way around this. So I'm going to tackle it with the fervor that it deserves and let you know what I'm thinking. The Daily Beast last week wrote the headline is Top Dem, a lot to like about Stephen A. Smith's presidential bid. That is House Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, who I hope will be on this show in the very near future. Another article came out this weekend by The New Yorker. Headline, Stephen A. Smith for president, NewYorker.com. Check it out. I must admit, I got on like a lavender blazer with a lavender shirt and a purple tie. I was looking pretty fly, if I should say so myself. I just want to throw that out there, okay? And now the latest is courtesy of TMZ. Now, mind you, USA Today, Washington Post, various other publications have written about this as well. Stephen A. Smith, I am not running for U.S. president. This is when TMZ caught me coming out of Shannon Sharp's party in New Orleans during Super Bowl week. And I guess they ran this recently. And I wanted to go there because I wanted to make sure that I put this to bed once and for all. I have no intentions of running for the presidency of the United States of America. I do not believe I am an aficionado. I do not believe that my pockets are deep enough for me to ignore the financial strain that could potentially have on me, because obviously I earn more than the president of the United States right now. He makes about $400,000 a year.
Well, Mr. Smith, I would have to disagree with you. Kamala was vice president. If you make more than the president, and Kamala was able to raise $1 billion, then it's not your money that you need to put up. The Democrat Party needs you, sir. The Democrat Party needs you, and they have the funds. They have the sponsors to be able to sponsor you. She raised $1 billion. It's not a problem of you bringing your own money, because the vice president that ran for the Democrat Party didn't have to put up her own money. You are richer than Kamala Harris. If she was able to raise $1 billion, You should be able to, because the Democrats have plenty of money.
That position there is. Senate and congressional figures make anywhere from 170 to 270,000 a year. Needless to say, I make more money than that. I'm not really interested on that level. But here's a reason why having zero desire to be a politician, because I consider them beggars, donors, campaign donations, sponsors, and political figures. And even when you get into office, you got to curry favor with politicians to get legislation pushed through.
Politicians are beggars. It's kind of like a shameful job, the way they have to submit themselves to begging, almost borderline ridiculing themselves. And the funniest thing is, even after gaining the position, the begging intensifies. You become an abject beggar for the Democrat or Republican establishment, if that's the reason why you do not want to become a candidate on the Democrat Party ticket. I would still encourage you, sir, because they have nobody, if they're looking at a sports analyst, to be a future candidate for their party. That's how low the Democrat Party has fallen. And I have sounded this alarm long ago that the party has lost focus, the party has lost interest. But of course, nobody was listening to me. Nobody took me seriously. And it's going to take you to eviscerate this party. Maybe it might shaken them up. Maybe it might wake them up. Maybe nothing is going to happen because they're far too gone. But this is going to be an interesting watch.
If the American people wanted me to be the president of the United States, and I knew that I had a really, really good shot to win, I can't deny that it's something I would consider. Let me tell you why I say that. Because I think our system sucks.
It does suck.
I think the binary system that we're in, where we have to choose between the Democrats or the Republicans, is a joke. I think it dissuades a vast majority of American citizens from wanting to be a part of the political process.
It's a system that catches you between a rock and a hard place. You really don't have any options. There's a bad Republican candidate and a terrible Democrat candidate, and you have to choose between bad and terrible, or terrible and terrible. Like in 2016, when we had Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, people were forced to pick between those two. This system needs reevaluation. We need a pool of candidates that we can pick from, because the Democrat Party serves us with a terrible candidate like they always do. The Republican Party serves us with a confused and misdirected candidate like they mostly do. We have no other choice than to pick between these two.
The Democrats got their ass kicked. I don't want to hear this noise about how he didn't get 50% of the vote. 40.8% he got. Trump got 48.3%. The man won 50 counties and went up in every one of them. He won all 6 or 7 swing states. The black vote, the Hispanic vote, the young voters all voted for him.
Well, except black women. 93% of black women voted for Kamala Harris.
Let me tell y'all something. If you're the Democrats, that's why Stephen A. Smith is in the news. Because y'all don't have anybody. You don't have anybody. Who you got? Who you got? Kamala Harris better not run. She's not going to win the presidency in 2028. We got to be real about something here. When she ran for election on her own, she couldn't make it to Iowa in 2020. She ultimately positions herself against the vice presidency. They win the election in 2020. Joe Biden is feeling himself after the liberals won the midterms. And instead of being a transitional president like he promised, the man backstabbed the Liberal Party and turned around and said, I'm staying. They wanted him out. So what everybody, we all know this now. You knew he had lost a step. We don't know what was wrong with him, but clearly his fastball was gone. So you have no primary. You fix it so he doesn't have to face a primary. And then you put him on stage last June 27th for a debate. He embarrasses himself, and 3 weeks later, he has to bow out so Kamala Harris could come in as a Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America at a time when they didn't have any time to put somebody else in to compete with.
But Mr. Smith, who are they going to put to compete with the vice president? The moment the Democrat Party picked this candidate, I said she was not ready. If they had put somebody against the vice president, that would have been clear indication that they knew the vice president did not have what it took to be the president. The vice president is the next successor to the president. If you have a primary, you are validating and confirming that your candidate is not apt to run for an election that we're going to win. So the Democrat Party picked a candidate in the course of the 4 years, found out that she was not fit to run for election. In 2020, she couldn't even make it to Iowa. So they could not have had an open primary. That would have been used by the Republicans against them and destroyed the Democrat Party. They had to bite that bullet they had already started. They had to stick with Kamala Harris. There were no other alternatives. It would have destroyed the party more because they would have had a vice president that they did not trust. An open convention would have been exactly that. That would have been clear indications that we don't think that she is able to win, and she is the vice president, successor to the president. For example, Trump right now is term limited. By every indication, J.D. Vance should be the next in line. If the Republicans have an open convention in 2028, it's because they know that J.D. Vance cannot win in an election. How is that going to play out? J.D. Vance has to be able to come and say he doesn't want to run for president. That's the only way it's going to work out. The Republicans are going to be able to have an open convention. But you cannot have an open convention with a stand-in vice president. That is clear indication you do not have confidence in your vice president. And you're going to lose. Nobody's going to take you seriously because you just had this person be the vice president a heartbeat away of the presidency. So either ways, this election was never going to favor them. An open convention would have confirmed that you didn't know what you were doing. You picked a candidate just for showmanship. And now that it matters, you are trying to get an open convention to have the governor of California come in. You have the governor of Pennsylvania coming. You have the governor of Illinois coming and a bunch of other hosts of women who were more qualified to be able to run in a month or two to challenge the vice president. No, the vice president doesn't need to be challenged if she was ready for the job. So that's where I disagree. But I understand your frustration. If you do, damn if you don't. That was the situation they were facing. So yes, they had to stick with their candidate. And I applaud them because it would have been a worst case scenario had they not continued with her.
You don't overcome that after losing the election. America ain't gonna go for it on the left. They ain't gonna go for it. Who else you got? Hakeem Jeffries? I personally support Westmore, the governor of Maryland, but I don't know how much of a national figure he is.
Hakeem Jeffrey right now is the budget Obama. He's trying to do the whole Obama interpretation. He's trying to use the Obama system to garner popularity. But I don't think that he's got that flair, that Obama charisma. I don't think he has it in him. And after his 5 minutes of fame, we're going to forget about him. The governor of Maryland is a first-term governor. I think he has to be able to put in some time and he has to be able to have some presence, which right now he doesn't have. The middle of the country does not know him. He's not very popular within the ranks of the Democrat Party like Obama was. Those things are going to take time. You have to be able to create that image for yourself. If he wants to run, he cannot be aiming for 2028. That would do damage to his brand. It's a party of jokers because there's really no serious contender for 2028.
That's why I'm in the news. Not in the news because I'm here. I'm in the news because the Democratic Party is here.
You couldn't have said that any better, Stephen A. Smith. You are in line to be a nominee for the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party has hit rock bottom. They're actually scouting you, putting you in newspapers to be a potential candidate. I never thought this day was going to come, but I have spoken about it. I have written about it on a lot of platforms. I have taken a beating over it. And I am happy that you are telling the people where the Democrat Party actually find themselves. They have hit rock bottom. And there's a possibility for them to be able to rise up because, like you said, we need an opposition that actually works, that is there to push the party in power to be reasonable and grounded. The things that Trump is doing right now and getting away with it with Elon Musk is because there's no opposition, a bunch of clowns. And that's because they have hit rock bottom. And if they don't stop to reassess, they're going to keep digging. And there's no depth that they're not going to go. So they're going to keep digging until they come to the realization that we need to stop digging. We need to do a reassessment. How do we get here? And how do we go back up? There's always going to be room for an opposition party. But right now, America has no opposition party. America is just the Republican MAGA party.
Hey, right now, horrible. Because they don't have a voice. What's the voice? We don't need a voice. We don't need a voice. Well, guess what? Somebody got to send a message. How the hell can somebody receive a message if there's no messenger? You got to do it. And they don't have anybody. That's why Stephen A. Smith is a candidate. I have conservative ideas. I believe in free market capitalism. I believe in patrolling our borders. I believe in strong national security. But you are right. I'd probably be a Democrat, a moderate, a centrist leaning left.
And that's very important because for the longest time, the reason why I voted for Joe Biden was because I thought, at least I knew he ran as a centrist, a moderate, because nobody in their right mind should be able to vote for left progressive agendas. Every Democrat president who has won elections have had to govern at the middle. And Biden presented that because that was the reason why Obama picked him in 2000. Obama was picking Biden to cover his progressive footprint. And so Biden was the cover that Obama needed, that we are going to be governing from the middle. And America bought into that. And so when Biden positioned himself as a candidate, it was easy for people to see that, yes, he is a moderate. He has been a moderate for most of his life. So he was going to govern as a moderate. But once he won the election, he swung so hard to the left. It was shocking. I immediately regretted my vote because I never voted for progressive policies. I am not a progressive. I voted for a moderate centrist candidate who then picked a radical progressive vice president and immediately swung to the left. And I started to work out options that was going to work for me. And the only alternative was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was saying the things that I wanted to hear as a moderate, conservative leaning person. And they presented Kamala Harris, a far radical San Francisco liberal, to run a country looking for a moderate. You see how you've already failed? And in 2028, if they don't learn that they have to start in the middle, I know they're already going to fail, so I'm not worried about 2028. 2028 is already lost. You can take my word for it. The Democrats don't have a shot in 2028. I don't care how bad or complacent the Republicans get. Look at how bad the Democrat Party is. Now, getting past 2028, the Democrat Party would begin to organize themselves. Republican fatigue would begin to set in. And then we will have a possibility where we can have a conversation between Democrat and Republican. That's the only time when the Republican fatigue starts to creep in, then we know that it's going to be a fair chance. Vance, if he wins, and I hope he's the successor, would have a challenge, I think 2032, because Republican fatigue would be beginning to setting at that point in time.
About Obama deporting more than Trump did, but the American public didn't notice. About a strong economy. You really think that Stephen A. Smith would tolerate crime to the point where you got to let 3 people in a store at a time?
He's asking if Democrats think Stephen A. Smith will tolerate crime. The Democrat Party is a party of crime tolerance. The Democrat Party is a party of lawlessness. Do you think I would tolerate crime? Why? Because that party tolerates crime. It's a party of lawbreakers. It's a party that does not respect the Constitution. Because Stephen A. Smith in this position is having to ask the Democrat Party, do you think I will go along with you in your breaking of crimes, your disregard of the law, your disregard of the Constitution? This is heartbreaking. This is how low this party has fallen, where we have to ask, you think I'm going to go along with you if you put me as your nominee? You think I'm going to support your lawlessness? You think I'm going to support the decay in your school system? You think I'm going to support the decay in your communities? No, I'm not. I'm going to bring the conservative side of me. I'm going to be hard on law. I'm going to make sure you follow the law. That's exactly what Stephen A. Smith is saying in this instance. And what does that tell you about the Democrat Party? When you vote and support this party, and this is what they tell you about the party you support, and you fancy yourself very intelligent, you fancy yourself very knowledgeable on the subject, and this is how your party is described by a potential nominee for that party. Like he said, even Boo Boo the Fool could see that you are not serious.
Know anything about me? Do you know what I would do as commander-in-chief if I saw crime raiding through our streets and it was affecting jobs and safety and ultimately the economy? Do you know who the hell you're talking to or listening to? Try not have anything on me. With that, having it. So I'm just saying to y'all.
I think he's speaking to a specific community here, and he didn't mention their name. I'm trying to take a moment because that was deep for me. That right there sums everything about the Democrat Party. A party of dependency, a party of lawlessness. Imagine what somebody has to say that you're willing to nominate him, but you haven't done your homework on him because he's not going to support lawlessness. He's not going to be on the side of criminals. He's not going to be on the side of people who cross the border illegally. This is exactly what he's saying. And he's saying Trump does not have anything on him. And you guys think Trump is bad? You guys think Trump is terrible? Stephen A. Smith is saying that he's going to be worse than Trump. And he's going to run as a Democrat. This is Stephen A. Smith schooling you all, using my words. Because I've already said these things. I've already written about these things. I've already had conversations about these things. 2 years ago, I was talking about this issue. Stephen A. Smith had this video 3 days ago. So this is the 21st of February, 2025. Go back 3 days. It's when he had this conversation. I've been talking about this 2 years prior to this. And every day after that, I have called the Democrat all kinds of names. I have said it's a party lost and devoid of identity. Here is my evidence. Here is somebody with a level of credibility, somebody with a platform that is saying what I said with no voice, no microphone, no megaphone, no platform. He's articulating what I've been saying for 2 years now. His accent is so clear that everybody can understand. My accent is not clear enough for most people to understand. So when I speak, what are you saying? But I'm using him now as my mouthpiece. Because everything he has said, I've already said it. You could take my words for it. There is no hope for the Democrat Party in 2028. They don't have a voice. They don't have leadership. It does not build in 2.5 years. Kamala, after the defeat that she just suffered, has no hope of winning an election in 2028. Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, in a month or 2 months, we're going to forget about him. The governor of Maryland, a potential candidate, if he can maintain as a moderate. He runs as a progressive, America is not going to vote for him. Jasmine Croker is a woman with a lot of potential, but she has taken the distraction route, which means her career is going to be over in a couple of years because she has nothing to offer the American people but distraction. She cannot be somebody that would run for president or higher office and anybody takes seriously. She has essentially ruined her own political career. So who's the leader? The joke in Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, who was as radical and makes Kamala look like a moderate, doesn't stand a chance.
That's why I'm a candidate. It ain't because I'm some expert. It ain't because I'm some aficionado who's saying that I know more. Hell, I don't even know how to pronounce most foreign dignitaries' names. The sad part is that I'd still beat any Democrat out there right now. Because who is resonating with the American people? Even Josh Shapiro came on the show, who I like a lot, by the way. And he talked about him just concentrating on Pennsylvania. What? We need more than that. I have no interest in getting involved. More so than pundency and commentary. But you better hope I stay feeling that way. Because let me tell you something right now. I said I'll bring the rain. I lied. I'd bring hell. Because I ain't playing. I'm there to win. Our two-party system sucks. You think I like what I see Elon Musk doing? I don't know whether I like it or not. I don't know if he can be trusted. I don't like the fact that he's getting billions from our federal government while he's doing business on behalf of the president.
I'll make it easy for you. He cannot be trusted. He hasn't shown any evidence that he needs to be trusted. There is the rich man hype that MAGA people love. When they see a wealthy man, they gravitate towards him. There is that aspect of him right now. But that wears out over time too. When people continue to lose their job, when MAGA is going to start getting hit with the job loss, family members, immediate family members, and they themselves, we're going to have the Elon fatigue. Elon fatigue is not going to last the next 6 months to a year. We're going to have Elon fatigue sooner rather than later. And once it happens, and when Trump's numbers start taking a nosedive, it's going to be beautiful to watch. I have already made my peace with Elon that he's a disruptor. He's not adding any substance to long-term political discourse. We're going to remember that he destroyed American jobs. He destroyed a lot of institutions, and he was a taint to Trump's presidency. That excitement is there, but I know Americans. These are people who vote for president, and 2 years later, they vote Congress out to replace what they just voted 2 years prior. So Elon fatigue is coming. It's going to happen. I give it maybe 6 months to a year. Americans are going to start getting tired of him. And then we're going to start pushing to get rid of him. It's that easy. That always happens.
Myself, I'll watch him. Well, I'm supposed to trust that? No. But President Trump has a right to do it because he won. Because y'all didn't beat him. Because while he was talking about the economy, he was talking about the price of goods, and he was talking about inflation, and he was talking about our borders, and he was talking about crime in the streets, the Democrats was talking about LGBTQ and transgender rights and 1% of the population at the expense. And this is the part that I want to make sure I'm clear about. This was the crime. It's not that they were talking about transgender rights. It's that they forgot 13% of the population in the Black community, and they forgot nearly 20% of the population in the Hispanic community who supported them at the expense of the 1%. How stupid.
Not just stupid, beyond dumb. I told this in the African diaspora community. I wrote about this. I said the Democrat Party had lost focus and was focusing on the trans issues, the castration and sterilization of children, and that will eventually cost them an election. But they didn't listen. The people don't want their children involved in all of this far left progressive agenda. They just waited for elections, and I knew they were going to go there and vote. That election by 10 p.m. was over. That was one of the first times we saw an election come in so fast. because the people had had enough of this Democrat BS. They had had enough of this trans issue. What was one of the first laws Trump passed when he won? He said America is only going to recognize male and female. That's what the Democrats decided to follow and said, this is the hill we are going to die in. And when Trump released that act, Trump is for you. I chuckled. I said, yes, that is what I've been talking about. But the voice was going to nobody's ears. And I said, am I going to listen to people whose history of voting has been tribal? We vote race, we vote gender, we vote tribe. No, I'm not going to listen to any of these people because they have no ideology. They don't believe in anything. People who took the oath of allegiance to become citizens and don't even know what it is that we're taking an oath for. People who support open borders. No, it was a joke. I knew that they were going to get destroyed. And I told them, you are going to get destroyed. The village boy told them that. You are going to get destroyed and destroyed.
That's why Stephen A. Smith is being polled as a presidential nominee. It ain't because I'm qualified. It damn sure ain't because I'm the smartest dude in the room. It's because I got heart. I got guts. And if we gonna have a fight, let's get down. Let's get it on.
Now, the Democrats want to talk about empathy, relationship, inclusivity, bring everybody in kumbaya. Smith is talking about, I got heart. I got guts. I'm ready to go to fight. I'm about the principles. I'm the nominee. You are going to do it my way. There's no empathy in that. That's a warrior's message. That's a nominee who's ready to win. But that's not Democrats. Democrats are about collective love, the love of inclusivity. Bring everybody together. Let's hold hands and make a merry-go-round. Doesn't win elections. Politics is like sports. It's a game of interest. You have certain interests that you want to make sure are pushed forward. There's no room for empathy. When you win, then you can have empathy. You can have sympathy. You can have love. You can do the inclusive, and you're still going to lose if that's what you're going to do, because you have to understand the opponent is trying to win at all costs. The Democrat Party has lost its focus. And like Stephen A. Smith said, they have no leadership with ability to drive that party to destination, because once you become that person, they're going to bring you down, because then you're going to be too strong, too aggressive, and you're not going to be inclusive enough. You're not going to be inclusive of this group. You're not going to be inclusive of that group, because you're not going to talk about the 1%. You're going to be talking about the issues that are important to the vast majority of Americans. And if that means sidelining the 1%, the 5%, any other small, insignificant community, that's what, as a president, you are going to do. Once you win, you can bring people together, but it's a job that needs to be done. And the Democrat Party right now doesn't have any such leadership.
America knows I would do that much. And I'd have a clue as to what I'm talking about. And I'd have a clue as to what not to talk about. Like something that's less than 1% of the population. Think about this last point I'm going to make. President Barack Obama deported more people than Trump ever did. And you barely heard about it. He just did it. Knowing that, Joe Biden opened borders. They could talk about how you could open it, but you couldn't necessarily close it after you opened it because of COVID and all this. I don't want to hear that. The streets of America were ravaged with illegal immigrants in our nation. And Joe Biden and his administration did nothing about it, after Obama had done everything about it.
Obama was known as the deporter-in-chief. The difference between Obama and Trump is because Trump is boyish. He talks about it. We're going to deport families. We're deporting everybody. Obama just didn't talk like that. And this is the problem with Democrats. That manner, that appearance of talking is what gets them into their feelings, as opposed to who actually does what. If you're upset at Trump, who does a lot of talking, but doesn't really back it up, you should equally be upset at Obama, who really doesn't talk, but backs it up. Obama deported like crazy. If you blinked wrongly, you were out of America. And nobody will hear about it. But for the Democrat Party, because it was not aggressive, it was finesse, it was cosmetically presentable to the eye, they accepted that. But Trump and his border czar, who says those crazy things, they're rejecting of it. And Biden comes in, he's soft tone, he opens the border, lets everybody in. And Kamala was asked, what are you going to do differently? Her opportunity to say, we're going to shut the border, we're going to deport the illegals, we're going to start by deporting the criminals. If you are here in a country of immigrants and you've committed a crime, we're going to deport you. That would have been a hot line for Kamala Harris. But she's a San Francisco liberal. You can't be that. You have to have empathy. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. No, you're not winning elections with that. Bill Clinton said the same thing in 1995 or 96. We are going to deport the illegals. We're going to shut the border and put more troops at the borders. Whether he did that or he didn't do it, he appeared tough. He appeared resolute for the border. See, the last administration didn't do none of that. And my African diaspora who swore the oath to protect that border with the regime that opened the border, she swore to protect. And when I called this out, people were quick to say, you crossed the bridge and you broke the bridge. I swore an oath. You should go back and read that oath and see what it is that you actually swore. Read the words and then come back. Let's have a conversation. I'll be more than willing to invite an African Democrat. Let's have this conversation because I don't think most people comprehend what it is they were swearing on when they took their oath of allegiance.
Other than pass comprehensive immigration reform, which takes both sides of the aisle. President Obama did his job. Joe Biden did not. And the Democrats, who are progressives, that means looking forward, stood up during his State of the Union knowing that he was approaching 82 years of age and chanted 4 more years. You have no authenticity. You have no legitimacy. Your heart might be in the right place with some of the policies that you're trying to implement while it appears Trump may be trying to turn the clock back. But it's the price you pay when you're incompetent. I wrote this exactly what you just said, Stephen A. Smith. It's the price you pay when you are incompetent. I had to highlight that because a few days ago, I was having a conversation with a friend and I told him, this is the price you pay for incompetence. This is the price you pay for your arrogance. This is the price you pay for your complacency. You take people for granted. And we've asked for 70 years, what has the Democrat Party done for the foundation of Blacks, for their loyalty? And then couple that with the fact that the former African who are now citizens of America have joined this party that has not solved a single African-American problem over 70 years. More Black people have subscribed to this party, which means there will be no agenda, no resolution, and nobody can stand and ask a question. Why are we loyal to a party that does not solve any Black issues, does not address any Black problems, does not really solve any American problem? And you think you are going to win with the record that you have? No, you just displayed that in the last 4 years, you called Joe Biden sharp as a tack. His mind was vivid as that of a teenage boy, ready to jump into adulthood.
how embarrassing he was at the debate. He was destroyed at the debate. And that's when the panic kicked in. But I have already known this. And I sounded the alarm, but nobody listened. And I'm not worried because I didn't want them to listen. I wanted them to lose this election in the exact way that they lost because they must learn. The Democrat Party must learn that they're going to take Black people seriously. They're going to take Americans seriously. I'm not worried about the African diaspora. If they want to come along, they can come along, or they can stick with the Democrat Party. I'm not too worried about them. But they too will learn. America is not going to play football with them. They would learn, and they're learning. This is why I wanted to play this video, so that they should hear what Stephen A. Smith had to say. The words he speaks of, I've already spoken. He's speaking as if I'm the one speaking. I just had this conversation with a friend that it's time for the Democrat Party to learn that this is the price you're going to pay. On that note, I'll call it a wrap. If you've liked the content so far, please click the like button, the subscribe button, so that you could be notified of more content. We're releasing content every week. Whenever we find something of value, we'll put our contributions to it. So to support the page, like the page, subscribe for more content. Thank you. It's been your host, Trez, on the Village Boy podcast.